If a military conflict came to Canada's north, it might look something like this. This is an exercise. Nearly 200 members of the 34th Canadian Brigade Group in the Éo-Ichi region of northern Quebec.
La force amie, qui est quelque part dans la forêt ici, va sortir, puis va se mettre en position pour faire une attaque.
Basically, my role as a section commander was to lead my part of the section, which was part of the assault.
On the skidoo here, we can see the medic sled. So this is where the injured enemy has been transported, and they're going to take it away to another location. This is all part of their military exercise to help the armed forces practice in this kind of terrain here.
We don't know the maps, we don't know the people, we don't know the area. It's a major challenge for our troops.
There's no base near here. All the military's equipment needs to be transported from Montreal, some by air, but mostly by road. Phone signals and communication lines are sparse, so are roads and other infrastructure.
One of the biggest challenges for Canada's military up in the north is asserting their presence and their capabilities over such a vast, and I mean vast, territory. Canada's north makes up about 40% of the country's entire landmass, and this region stretches for about 4 million square kilometers.
Canada is about the north, our north strong and free. So we can't just be able to operate in the south, we need to be able to project our forces if needs be, depending on the needs of the government, and being able to deploy, survive, operate, accomplish the mission.
Military exercises like this are actually quite common. The Canadian Armed Forces will carry them out approximately once a year, but there's clear reasons why this time they wanted it to be seen, and not just by Canadians.
In an era of rising geopolitical tensions, projecting strength is important for many countries, Canada included.
Every Western nation start to look at their own weakness when facing Russia. For Canadian, it's normal to look up north and to say, okay, we know that Russians are very present in their part of the Arctic.
But Russia isn't the only preoccupation. There's now also a possible threat much closer to home.
There's a risk that the American administration wants to challenge Canadian claims on some area of the north, namely the Northwest Passage, which are the maritime route that are going through the Canadian archipelago, and in the Beaufort Sea, near the Alaska and Yukon's border. It's possible the Trump administration wants to revive these conflicts and contest openly Canadian claims on this region.
Even before Donald Trump's re-election, the federal government had committed to increasing military spending, with a pledge in the spring of 2024 to boost capabilities in the north.
It is important for us to have the capacity to be present and to defend our sovereignty. And that's the main goal of any armed force, is to defend their country, defend the citizens. And so we need to be able to do it in any environment, on any ground.
And this ground is Cree territory, so partnership with the local community is essential, much of which happens through the Canadian Rangers, a subcomponent of the Army Reserve, nearly a quarter of which are Indigenous, like Cree Nation of Chisaspe member Alvin Cash.
Their head office is down south. We're up here providing that information. Same time, we use our own culture, how much we know the territory, to provide that service and pass the information to the military. Because it's an isolation area. The weather here is unpredictable. Could have all whiteouts. That's why the Rangers are pretty known their territories and their roots and their culture.
You can see that there's a clear exchange of traditional knowledge being shared with the Canadian military. Everything from how to understand the terrain, how to operate in the snow, how to tolerate the cold and, build a shelter.
Definitely the cold was the biggest challenge. Also the amount of snow, the expertise with the snowshoes and in the environment, everything comes from them.
The Council of the Cree Nation of Chisaspe says there was consultation and community involvement in the lead up to the exercise, and that it welcomes this collaboration.
And when you have guests come in, people love to share those customs and traditions of how to build a dwelling, how to survive in the wintertime. And there's a word for agordosunano, is when you have an emergency situation, what do you do? What kind of shelter can you build? How do you start the fire? So that's the exchange that I see.
And that's been probably the best success so far, is the way we connected with the Chisasibi Cree Nation. They're wonderful hosts, and we need them to help us, to guide us. They know all the trails. They've been here from generation to generation. They know how to survive in this environment, and they teach it to our soldiers as well.